Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Dr. Watkins from the Black Business School and the Black Wealth Bootcamp. I want to talk about an article that came across my desk today. I was sitting on Facebook like the rest of the world, and I saw this interesting article that was published. I don't know where the article was exactly. I want to say it was Slate.com. That basically pointed out something that a lot of people don't know, but people may know it from experience, from their own experience, which is that the average American has less than $1,000 in savings. The average American. That means that most Americans, or a large percentage of Americans, are living paycheck to paycheck. Don't really know how they're going to survive if they lose their job. There's a lot of economic insecurity in the world. People are very nervous for good reason. Now, let me put some of this into context. Now, let's first of all put it into geographic context and talk about what's happening in the world. Let's talk about culture. And I'll start with a story to help you kind of understand this. In 2006, I did a research visit with the Center for European Economic Research, which is connected to the central banks in Europe and things like that. So basically, I was in Germany, in Mannheim, Germany, and I was doing research on equity markets, stock markets, stuff like that. But one of my colleagues in Germany, he was doing research on savings and stuff like that, and he came into my office and he said, "What's wrong? What's wrong with you Americans?" He had this German accent. He said, "What's wrong with you Americans?" So of course I got offended and I said, "Well, what's wrong with you Germans?" And so he said, "Oh no," and he said, "No. What I mean is, what I don't understand is that in Germany we make less money than you do, we pay more in taxes than you do, but we save 5 times more than you do." And I said, "I don't know. That's interesting. That's something worth thinking about." And he was right. He was right. I mean, if you look at America's savings rate compared to the rest of the world, we're just abysmal. I mean, you look at some other countries. According to Smart Money Magazine, the U.S. savings rate is about 10%, meaning the average American saves about 10% of their income. In India, the savings rate is 28%. In Switzerland, it's 32%. In China, it's over half. It's 51%. So Chinese people, they're aspirational. They recently opened up their economy 20 years ago, and as a result, they're looking to save money to acquire certain assets. And what's interesting to me as well is that government policy kind of varies across the board for these countries, right? In a country like Switzerland, as in other parts of Europe, you have very strong social programs. They cover your Medicare, they cover your daycare, things like that. They give you all kinds of vacation time. So some would argue that, well, hey, since you're not paying daycare, then you got plenty of money to save, so it makes it easier to save. But go to China, go to India. They don't have those social programs. They don't have, all the protections that we have. They don't even have anything for people when they retire. I still remember when I was teaching in China. I taught a class in China, and I remember, walking down the street and seeing this 80-year-old lady with a gigantic bag of empty cans on her back, and she was walking down the street, and her back was bent so low, like she was literally like a foot off the ground walking. Really slow, and I never seen that. So I went and I gave the lady some money, and she just kept saying "she ni," which is thank you, and and then I walked a little further down. Of course I passed her because she was walking so slow, and I went into a store, and I came out of the store maybe an hour later. And this woman had probably gone 200 feet in that hour. And so I remember I had a bottle of Pepsi or Coke or something. It was Coke because I think Coke, no, it was Pepsi because Pepsi's everywhere in China. And I took the bottle. I was halfway done. How you start drinking the bottle was too much. So I threw it in the garbage. And I remember this old lady. I looked back, and this old lady had gone in the garbage and was drinking the Pepsi that I had just put in the garbage. And that really gave me a different perspective on poverty. I mean, if you really want to understand poverty and economic struggle, you got to go to other countries just so you can see it, so you can realize what you actually have that's available to you. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say America's a perfect country. We have a lot of problems, a lot of things we do wrong, things we do to black people, things we do to the poor, things that we do that are just horrible, things we do to other parts of the world. But going to other countries and getting a global perspective, it's both a release valve. For example, if you're black, it allows you to realize the world is bigger than just your country. So you're able to kind of experience freedom in a way that you can't feel it in the United States. In fact, one of my friends who's Jewish, she said, if as a Jew, I would never live in Germany, where the Nazis once tried to kill my ancestors. She said, so I don't understand why black people stay in the United States. She said, if I were black, I wouldn't want to be here where this regime has killed my ancestors. That's what she said. So I don't know about leaving the United States, but I certainly advocate going to other places so you just know what that's like. So that's one thing. It gives you that breathing room. But then number two, it also kind of, lets you know that maybe having the few resources we do have does actually mean something. I mean, there are a lot of countries where you can't be poor and chubby at the same time. We got a lot of chubby poor people, right? So again, not knocking it, not pretending like it's not real, but you got to keep it all in perspective. So let me break down some of the data. I dug up some stats that might be helpful to you in terms of understanding this, and then we'll kind of end this on a positive note, because this is actually savings and budgeting month in the Black Wealth Calendar. Now you can get a Black Wealth Calendar at theblackwealthcalendar.com. So we every month has a theme. So it's perfect that I saw this article because January is savings and budgeting month, according to the Black Wealth Calendar. And so if you look at the data, you'll see that according to GoBankRateSavings.com, 62% of Americans have less than $1,000 in savings in their account. 21% of Americans have no savings account at all. So just nothing. The account doesn't even exist. Also, if you break it down by age, you would think that the young people are the ones who struggle the most, but actually that's not true. Millennials, 29% of millennials have $0 in their savings account. 28% of baby boomers, people over the age of 54, have $0 in their account. And 31% of Generation Xers, that's 35 to 54, I'm in that age group. So 31% of us, we kind of lead the pack in terms of people that have nothing in our savings account. Now, the differences aren't huge, and I don't even know if they're statistically significant. You're talking about 28, 29, and 31%, so it's all kind of clumped there. But still, it just kind of shows that we do have a problem where certain people, some of us, are in a severely damaged and really scary financial situation. So a couple things I'm going to throw in here that'll just maybe help you kind of figure this out and figure out how to make sure that your lifeboat is intact. Here's the thing. When I read the article, again, in the liberal publication, and I'm not a liberal or a conservative, I'm just a black guy. The interesting thing about it was I like what they were doing in the sense that they were pointing out the fact that really government policy does play a huge role in the disappearing middle class. It plays a huge role in the way poor people are treated. Really, since Reagan helped America decide that greed is good, we've got to the point where people would rather let another million children starve before they pay an extra 0.5% in taxes. So that's kind of sick. That's kind of crazy. Our politicians are crazy. They're insane. Interesting to me is that politics has gotten so corrupted, so infected with capitalist greed that I don't see the ship turning around anytime soon. Even the good guys are bought and paid for by the corporations. Even the good guys. So I don't really think that the United States is ever going to have an economically ethical or clean set of government policies. I really just think that at the most, we're going to be this capitalist country where those who are able to figure out how to harness resources within their communities are going to be the ones that get ahead. That's just what I believe. If you're black, especially, Uncle Sam ain't never come to save you. You had a black president for 8 years, and black people economically kind of plummeted during that black presidency. So, and again, not to say it's his fault or his responsibility. That's a whole debate I'm not going to get into. But I will say it pretty much proves that you're going to be screwed no matter who's in the White House unless you unscrew yourself. Don't screw yourself, you unscrew yourself, right? But you don't screw other people. You know that, right? The other thought that I have is that because we know the government isn't going to save us, there are certain strategies you can take to position yourself and your family so that you are not crunched by this weird economic situation that we have in America. Number one, you got to save your money. You can't go through life living paycheck to paycheck. It doesn't make any sense. You can save money. I see people give 10% to the pastor every Sunday. You might want to pay the pastor after you pay yourself. Again, Jesus will forgive you, I'm sure. Because you can tithe to your kids as well as you can tithe to the pastor so he can buy that Bentley, okay? So I don't see anything wrong with tithing to yourself, paying yourself first. Um, Also, increasing your income, finding other income streams is becoming very important. So that would mean at the very least that if you have any able-bodied adults in the household, everybody works, everybody's bringing in something. And that was a model that my mother had in my house. And I'm not saying my mother was the wisest person in the world, but I will say that it wasn't even conceivable that I could be grown and healthy and live in her house and not be paying some bills up in there. Okay, so if everybody contributes, and I'm talking about from the age of 16, not even 16, 14, that's when I got my first job. So I think having every able-bodied adult in your house contributing is very important. I think understanding the importance of financial literacy and ownership is important. We have our Black Millionaires of Tomorrow program for children, where we got over 1,000 parents that signed up to give their children the basics of financial literacy. I think things like that are critical because in the United States, the average financial literacy level is incredibly low. In fact, because it's so low, I was able to tell the parents, look, if your child goes through this program, even if they're 8 years old, they're going to have a financial literacy level that exceeds the average college student. And I've taught college students for 20 years, so I know what they know. So most of my students, even my business school students, didn't know the basics about how to manage money, how to become an owner and an investor as opposed to a borrower, a spender, and a consumer. So I highly suggest that you embrace financial literacy. I highly suggest that you embrace the idea of ownership, or at least diversifying streams of income. I highly suggest that instead of just thinking about saving money, you think about investing money. People think that investing in the stock market is only for rich people. That's not true. You don't have to be rich to buy stocks. You don't have to do that. Stocks. I bought some stocks yesterday. I think I bought about 20 shares for about $40. About the cost of a trip for two to Applebee's. I bought 20 shares of stock to just add on to the other shares that I have, to the thousands of other, right? So it's like buying shoes. Just every week or every month or whatever, just go buy you some new stocks and just throw it in there and just keep adding up. And over time, you accumulate wealth. In fact, and this is the last point I'm making, then I'm done. As much as the political landscape is what it is in the United States, it does lead to certain outcomes because we know our government doesn't care a whole lot about people. That's why you saw that very clearly in 2008 when the Obama administration and the White House or Congress in general bailed out Wall Street but didn't bail out Main Street. They could have just as easily supported people who lost their homes, but they didn't want to do that. They actually wanted to just support the banks and just support the wealthy because these are the people who have the lobbyists coming into their offices. They said, no, pay us first, right? So in general, the gap between the rich and the poor, the gap between the rich and the middle class, much of that comes from the stock market. Much of that comes from the fact that rich people put their money in stocks, middle class people put their money in their homes, poor people don't put their money in anything. If you want to move up in America, start buying stocks, buy you a home, get invested in something, own things, create capital, then you will find that you will elevate. Now, is this a recipe for 40 million people to save 40 million black people? No, it's not. But is this something that everybody can do? Almost everyone can do it. If you make $10 an hour, you can go buy stocks. If you can go buy a pair of Jordans, you can go buy some stock. So stop letting people make you think that buying stocks is only for rich people. It's only for, white people. It's only for, no, that's not true. Anybody can do it. It's very, very simple. I showed my students in the Black Wealth Bootcamp the other day. I said, let's go buy 20 shares of stock for the amount of money you probably have in your pocket. And I went on the computer. Opened up my account and I showed them exactly how to buy stock. So the end of the day, and I'm going to say this and I'm out of here. At the end of the day, Uncle Sam, the government is not coming to save you. You can vote for the right politician, you can march, you can rally, you can complain, you can get mad, but the change is not a-coming, and if the change does come, it's going to come after you old and gray and dead, and your kids are already out of the house, and they've already lived a life of suffering. So don't wait for anybody, do it yourself. So don't fall for the nonsense. Don't fall for this Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal crap. That's fine. That's what they do. Whatever. Do what the Asians do. Do what the Jews do. The Asians and the Jews, they're not getting all wrapped up in all of that the way some black folks are. They just make sure that they take care of themselves and they take care of their own. That's what you do as a black person. Well, that's it. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from the Black Business School. If you want to learn more, if you want to study wealth and learn wealth, you can go to theblackbusinessschool.com. Check it out. It's free to join. Classes are very, very low priced, and I guarantee when you walk out of there, you're going to be so much more sophisticated on these issues that people won't even recognize you. This is your game to play. This is your game to win. You are nobody's victim. Don't ever let anybody convince you that you're a victim. You're better than that. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.